Hi guys, welcome to the final installment of the Worms digital notebook videos. This is going to mostly go through the phylum Annelida. Slide 12 did not have any part of a video because you can do that without a video. So we are on slide 13 in your digital notebook, and you're going to start, there's actually a video at the top of slide 13 that you're going to start with. So go ahead and pause me and watch that video quick and learn more about the annelids. All right, there is a bullet that says from the video, what do you think was one of the most interesting facts? And that's up to you how you answer that, but make sure you hit that. Under that is where the notes begin. Annelids are segmented worms, and they have bodies with many segments. Those segments may carry eyes, antennae, sense organs, or be specialized. Sometimes they're repeating segments. They have the same organs in them no matter what segment it is. So it just depends on the annelid. But you see some examples. Here's an earthworm, which we are getting ready to dissect our first animal. So we're going to dissect worms soon. And it's going to be an earthworm. And then these are leeches. At the bottom of slide 13, you should see a picture that's close to this, and you should see 12 structures. Those are kind of major structures that you might be able to see in the dissection. So we're going to go ahead and drag those through. I'm just going to go through some of the major structures here. You can pause at any point in time and work on that as well. So this one right here down at the bottom, that's obviously the mouth, and if you follow it all the way down, there is an anus, so this has two openings. The digestive tract kind of on the way to the anus, the mouth, and then there is an esophagus right here. Okay, pharynx, pharynx, then an esophagus, then a crop and a gizzard, and that it's part of the digestion process, and then there's an intestine which runs the rest of the segments through the anus. The response and the response structures, they have these little specialized nephridia down here, which it's a poor picture, but they are specialized nerve cells. And then there's a ventral nerve cord that helps with response. As far as circulation goes, there is also a dorsal and ventral nerve cord here. Blood vessel here and here. Dorsal and ventral, we know what those mean. Dorsal's back, so that would be the back of the worm, and then ventral is front. There's some aortic arches, which kind of act like a heart to help circulate, but it kind of surrounds this intestine. Well, it's not really intestine, but digestive tube. Okay, and then this clitellum is the area that's very wide, and this has some reproductive functions. So go ahead and make sure that all of your labels are correctly drug into the right spot. All right, and movement. So these are a little bit more involved animals. So when we talk about the 7 functions, we talk about 7 of them separately, and we talk about them in more detail. So movement, there is a video to watch on slide 14, so make sure you do that. There is a hydrostatic skeleton in this animal. So that's kind of an internal support, and it's fluid that helps support it. Then there's 2 sets of muscles, longitudinal muscles and circular muscles. When you watch the video, kind of see how the worm is moving. The longitudinal muscles run the long way, from the front to their end, and can contract to make the worm kind of shorter and fatter. And then there's circular muscles around the body, and that can make the worm very long and thin. And that's how the earthworm moves, alternatively contracting these 2 sets. And then there's these setae on the bottom that are little bristles, and they kind of help the earthworm move through the kind of like almost grasp. I mean, they can't physically grasp, but they kind of just grasp the dirt, and then the muscles move them forward. All right, feeding is the next box. On the bottom of slide 14, there's a one-way tube with a mouth and an anus. We saw that. The pharynx is what pumps food and soil into the esophagus. Sometimes in carnivorous annelids, the pharynx might have some jaws, some sharp areas that are used to attack and hold prey. Some have a pharynx that is covered in a sticky mucus. So there's some specializations depending on what the worm eats. And it moves through the crop where it's stored, and then to the gizzard where it's kind of ground, and then further into through the intestine. So this is a serious digestive tract. Okay, this has some different specialized areas of the tract. It's not just a tube as we move into these higher animals. There's a video, make sure you go watch that one. It is about the middle of page 14. We're gonna go to slide 15 here. We're gonna talk about respiration. Land annelids are going to take in oxygen through their skin. Okay, so it's diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide through the skin. If it's an aquatic annelid, they might have gills. The gills are the organs that are specialized for gas exchange, just as our lungs are specialized for gas exchange, but there's no formal lungs or anything like that in an aquatic annelid. Circulation, this is the first with a closed circulation system, which means that all of the blood is going through vessels. There's not like organs that are just bathed in the blood. And we'll see in some of the other animals, there are open circulatory systems, which is when they're just bathed. Closed means there's networks of blood vessels. So we saw in the picture, there's the dorsal and ventral blood vessel. And they run through the length of the worm. There's also in each segment a pair of smaller vessels that connect to the dorsal and ventral, and it helps that circulating. And you see this picture on slide 15, dorsal, ventral, and then, you know, there's some smaller ones. All right, oh, that's a good picture of the nephridia, that's better. So nephridia are kind of like our kidneys. They are specialized to can get rid of nitrogen waste, just like our kidneys are. So this is the first excretory organ that we've really looked at in an animal. Response, there are ganglia, nerve cells, and nerve cords. There is a brain, but it's just kind of like a pocket of nerve cells, and so all of those are able to respond. So this animal can respond to certain levels of humidity. If you've ever noticed, after it rains, all the worms are on the blacktop. They can respond to light. They can respond to many things. Reproduction. So there's external fertilization with separate sexes. However, some annelids are hermaphrodites, which means they have both male and female parts. The clitellum is the organ that is specialized, a specialized segment for fertilization. So the clitellum will secrete a mucus ring, and the eggs are then and sperm are then released. The ring then slips off and forms a cocoon, in which the young worms hatch out. Okay, and there's specialized openings as well. We'll be able to see the clitellum, but many of these other, and actually you'll be able to easily see the setae, but you won't really be able to see a lot of the openings and stuff on the worm. That's just too small. All right, we're on to slide 17, where you're going to look at the classes of annelids, the oligochaetes, the Hirudina, and the polychaetes. And you're gonna get an example and a picture for each of the classes.